The first and most important step in recovering from substance abuse through mutual support groups is to accept and admit that you have become powerless over substances. This means acknowledging that despite your best efforts and willpower, you have lost the ability to control your drinking or drugging, that you are not controlling it, that it is controlling you. Substances have taken over, causing your life to become unmanageable in multiple areas. It is important to realize that a problem that causes problems is a problem. Admitting this powerlessness is difficult because it requires dropping the ego's notion that you should be able to easily handle alcohol through sheer self-discipline. However, addiction is an insidious disease that overpowers the willpower of even the strongest individuals. It talks to use, in our own voice. It knows us better than anyone else, and it preys on our weaknesses. What it actually does is it rewires the brain's chemistry, creating compulsive cravings that defy logic. We have a broken on-off switch, and once we turn the power onto the substances, we can't just simply turn it off. When addiction takes hold, it can wreak havoc, jeopardizing jobs, relationships, health, finances, and more. Major life consequences are often what finally break through the denial that alcoholics employ to rationalize, justify, and explain their drinking. Recognizing that you have completely lost power over alcohol is the first step in regaining power over your life. This first step involves surrender, giving up the fight against an unbeatable foe, and admitting complete defeat. This is not a moral failing, but the cold reality that alcohol has become stronger than you. Father Martin used to reference getting in the ring with the heavyweight champ and thinking and believing that he had a shot to win. He said, "AA whispers in the ear, don't get in the ring." It can be that obvious, yet that difficult. Only through this honest admission can you find the humility to ask for help and embrace the support and principles of AA to get your life back on track without alcohol. The first step in AA's program, admitting powerlessness over alcohol and that your life has become unmanageable, is arguably the most difficult but also the most crucial. It is the most profound statement the sick and suffering alcoholic or addict can make. It requires brutal honesty with yourself to confront your alcoholism head-on without minimization, denial, or reservations. Brutal self-honesty that can rock us at our core. It's hard to be honest with anyone else until we are honest with ourselves. For many, this first step represents the pivotal breaking point of hitting bottom, where the consequences of drinking have become too destructive to ignore any longer. You must take an unflinching moral inventory of how alcohol has derailed your life across multiple areas: relationships, career, finances, health, self-respect, and more. The wreckage can no longer be swept under the rug. There is a pervasive myth that an alcoholic must endure devastating, catastrophic consequences, losing everything like their job, home, family, and health, before they can accept step 1 of AA and admit being powerless over alcohol. This is often referred to as hitting rock bottom. However, this notion of having to experience a literal traumatic rock bottom is misleading and potentially dangerous. While it's true that many alcoholics are motivated to get help after hitting a profound low point, the reality is that rock bottom is different for everyone. Your bottom can simply be when you stop digging your hole. The essence of step 1 is realizing alcohol has become unmanageable in your life, and you are powerless to control it, not the specific depth of tragedy required for this realization. For some, rock bottom may indeed involve dire circumstances like homelessness or prison. But for others, less extreme consequences like relationship problems, financial issues, or health scares can provide the necessary wake-up call. Waiting for that theoretical, explosive, rock-bottom moment can enable alcoholics to remain stuck in denial for years or even decades as their addiction progressively worsens. Comparing our usage to others and determining our bottom based on frequency and volume is comparing out. It doesn't matter how much or how often, but what it does to use when we use it. Failure to recognize this increases the likelihood of irreversible damage and missed opportunities for needed change. The key is recognizing when alcohol has caused unacceptable difficulties and pain in your life, whatever that personal threshold may be. Step 1 simply requires the addict to admit to being powerless and unable to keep alcohol from negatively impacting their existence. This critical concession unlocks the remaining steps of AA's program. Equating it with having to lose literally everything first can discourage alcoholics from taking that vital first step until it's potentially too late. The rock bottom is wherever your personal breaking point lies. The sooner it's accepted, the sooner your recovery can begin. Admitting complete powerlessness over alcohol is an exercise in surrender and humility. It means setting aside your ego's notion that you can employ willpower to control or moderate your drinking. Instead, you accept that alcoholism has overpowered you. It is a disease that has rewired your brain in a way that defies logic and rational thinking when it comes to alcohol. Making this admission is so difficult because it means relinquishing the illusion of control. But it is also incredibly liberating. Only through this surrendering of your former conceptions can you find the open-mindedness to fully embrace AA's program of spiritual and life changes. You cannot move forward until you can honestly say, "I am powerless over alcohol and my life is unmanageable when I drink." To build a foundation of recovery, it is vital to work the first step. Abandon pride, abstain completely, seek humility, educate yourself on alcoholism, overcome denial, and keep an open mind to a new path of recovery and healing. With this foundation of complete acceptance, you unlock the remaining steps toward rebuilding a purposeful, sober life. There is a common misperception that admitting powerlessness over alcohol as part of Step 1 in AA's program implies you are a weak or feeble person. However, this could not be further from the truth. In reality, making this admission takes tremendous strength, courage, and honesty. Alcoholism is a formidable disease that can overpower even those with incredible willpower and determination in other areas of their lives. Admitting you have lost the battle against alcohol's grip is not a character flaw or shortcoming, but an act of bravely confronting reality. Denial and reluctance to accept one's powerlessness enables the addiction to persist. It requires immense inner strength to cast aside the ego, admit defeat, and surrender to the fact that you cannot overcome alcoholism through self-will alone. This genuine humility allows you to avoid the pitfall of grandiosity that prevents so many from getting better. Alcoholics who remain convinced they can conquer their addiction through sheer force of will are showing false bravado, not strength. The powerlessness in Step 1 refers specifically to your inability to control alcohol through willpower, not your strength as a human being. In fact, by stripping away defenses and rationalizations, you demonstrate resilience to look at yourself honestly and resolve to change through AA's guidance. This provides the foundation to rebuild a life of true strength and purpose in sobriety. Admitting powerlessness over alcohol is the opposite of weakness. It is powerful self-awareness and the crucial first step that allows you to reclaim mastery over your life. Those unwilling or unable muster this difficult admission remain trapped by the bondage of alcoholism. Understanding this separates the humility required for recovery from any notion of weakness. While admitting powerlessness over alcohol in Step 1 is crucial, it does not mean succumbing to complete powerlessness in life. Rather, it is about taking responsibility for the aspects within your control, engaging wholeheartedly in the program of recovery, and cultivating a willingness to change. You are not powerless over your choice to remain sober and work the AA program diligently. This requires mustering the responsibility, discipline, and commitment to follow suggestions, attend meetings, work with a sponsor, and thoroughly work the remaining 11 steps. Alcoholism may overpower your ability to drink normally, but you still wield the power to seek help and live a rewarding life in sobriety. We ourselves are not powerless. We are powerless over substances. As you accept your alcoholism fully in Step 1, a profound sense of acceptance also emerges. An acceptance that this program can restore you to sanity and provide a rewarding new way of life. Rather than feeling dread, resentment, or resistance towards the work of recovery, you realize with optimism and gratitude that AA is offering you an invaluable gift. Step work ceases to feel like an obligation, and instead becomes an opportunity to achieve lasting serenity, emotional sobriety, and personal growth. You accept that this is not merely a way to get well, but an ongoing practice and fellowship that enriches your existence. A path of joy replaces the cycle of suffering. So while Step 1 requires humbly admitting complete powerlessness over alcohol itself, it also empowers you to accept responsibility for your recovery, recognizing you are not powerless over your decision to embrace this new way of living one day at a time. With this acceptance comes hope, community, and the promise of a fruitful life in sobriety.